The Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord.
Yes, sir. Understand, excuse me, I went ahead of myself. It's once Isaac, he had Esau and Jacob. Then Jacob had 12 tribes. Excuse me, correct myself on that. So Isaac's wife had what they call it, had pains in the stomach. Like, these kids in my stomach just having a war. Why are they going at each other like this? I can't get no rest, basically. You know, pregnant women know about that when babies just kicking. So these jokers inside her stomach going at it. So she asked the Lord, what's the deal with this? And listen what the Lord said. Go ahead.
And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb.
Yes, sir.
2 manners of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger.
2 nations gonna be in your womb. And we know those 2 boys were Esau and Jacob. And Esau sold his birthright to Jacob. Because the eldest always get the inheritance. If you got a son, he's the one that the father passed everything down to, the firstborn.
That's right.
He has to get it. That's the way it rolls. But Esau despised his birthright. He couldn't stand it because he thought it was worthless. So Jacob put it on the table and said, hey, what you want for it? And he sold it for a bowl of soup. So we know the story. Like I said, we ain't got time to get all into it, but listen to the description of these boys, what Esau. Go ahead.
And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb.
Twins. Go ahead.
And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment.
Yes, sir.
And they called his name Esau.
Pretty sure he was like an albino, red, all over. Because it never told what the color of Jacob was. Jacob was just like us. He was black. But he had to give that description. That's why in the last day, what we're going to read, some little history on it, they did a DNA test on the people that call themselves Jews in the land. Our DNA are closely linked. They narrowed it down and came back and showed us, they tried to dispute that we were Israelites. We was connected to them, so they did a DNA test on us. And we got some of the same characteristics, some of the same genetical makeup. But we're going to read that a little later. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 26. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel.
Yes, sir.
And his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare him.
Yes, sir. This is when they had the children. Let's go get the idea on Esau. 2 boys, one named Esau, one named Jacob. Let's go to Genesis chapter 36. Laying the foundation. Genesis 36 and verse 8. We're going to read 2 verses here, 8 and 9. Go ahead when you get it, brother.
Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom.
This is Esau, which is Edom. A lot of the Israelites, they're calling the Gentiles Esau. That's not true. They call the Gentile Esau. They're not. They're not Europeans. They're not white people. They are basically Jacob's son. But the blessing didn't go to him. It went to Isaac's son. Excuse me, thank you. It was Isaac's son. He is the Israelite, well, they ain't said the Israelite, but he's Shemitic, for another word. He's in the nation. But the blessing didn't go to him. But I just want to make sure you understand who he is. This is Esau. He's from Edom. The ones that are over in the land today who call themselves this is their name. Esau. Go ahead.
And these are the generation of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir.
So when you hear that, when you see that, you understand who he's talking about. Esau is the father of the Edomites, which are the ones that are over there in Israel today. who call themselves Jews. Let's go to Genesis chapter 35 and verse 9. Let's deal with Jacob. Back up one. Go ahead.
And God appeared unto Jacob again when he came out of Padan, and blessed him. And God said unto him, Thy name is Jacob.
Yes, sir. So God appeared to Jacob in Padan, and he gave Jacob something. Go ahead.
Thy name shall not be called any more Jacob,
Yes, sir.
but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel.
When you see Jacob and Israel, it's the same. That's the name that God gave him. Jacob was adopted in the family because he chose him. So when you see Jacob and Israel, they run together. So don't get confused when you see the house of Jacob or when you see the house of Israel. They're the same. So we can just give a foundation, letting you understand about these two boys that Rebekah had with two nations, which two nations are still here. But the Jacob don't know who he is. Before y'all came here to me, y'all didn't know y'all were Jacob. Y'all didn't know y'all were Israel. Period. What y'all thought y'all were? I thought I was a Gentile. A Gentile. That's what they say, you either a Jew or a Gentile. Our forefathers had just was ignorant, man. Very ignorant to the scriptures. All right, let's go to Genesis chapter 49. Let's look at his kids. This is where the nation was born. Where it came from. You got to do it this way. Genesis 49, we're going to read 1 and 2, and we're going to jump to 28. Let's look at Jacob's kids, a few of them, and just understand what's going on with them. We don't go through all of them. But this is where you find the 12 sons of Jacob, which are the 12 tribes of Israel in this chapter. Sure. Go ahead, brother, verse 1.
And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days.
See, when Jacob was about to die, he called all his sons together and told them a future prophecy on each tribe and what was going to happen to them and their people. But we didn't get into all that. We're just trying to make sure you understand Israel is a dark-skinned nation. Go ahead.
Gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father.
Israel, your father, which is Jacob. God changed his name. That's why I want to read that to you so we won't get confused. Jump down to verse 28. Go ahead.
All these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is it, that their father spake unto them, and blessed them. Everyone according to his blessing, he blessed them.
Understand, you got Reuben, Simeon, Judah, Zebulun, Issachar, Dan, Gad, Asher, Naphtali, Joseph. You had all these different tribes that he told a future prophecy. These are his sons. These are the Israelites. These are the 12 tribes of Israel, so you'll understand. But we got to go back to Genesis chapter 10 and see after the flood of what happened, how they came about. Let's go to Genesis chapter 10 and verse 1. Let's look at Noah. This is when God destroyed the world, and he saved Noah and his family. It was 8 people. And this is where he birthed the nation from, the nations from. If everybody upon this earth came from these 3 sons, everybody. Everybody. Let's look at the bloodlines of these 3 sons. Genesis chapter 10, we'll start at verse 1. Go ahead.
Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Yes, sir.
And unto them were sons born after the flood.
These were the 3 sons' names, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And they had 3 nations of people where everybody came from that most of the Israelites don't know, or the so-called Negroes in the world don't know. Go ahead.
The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus.
These are the sons of the so-called white people, of the Gentiles. This is their forefathers. Come from Japheth. Go ahead.
And the sons of Gomer, Eskenaz, Rephath, and Togarmah.
Understand this. Where you see that word Ashkenaz from? Where you heard that from? Russian. No, Germans. Hitler. All of them. These nations are called by different names in the world today. Magog and God, that's the Russians. Ashkenaz, that's the Germans. All these have different lineage, not saying different lineage, but different sectors. But they all are Gentiles. Every last one. All of them. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And the sons of Javan, Elishah, Tarshish, Kittim,
Do the best you can, brother.
and Dudanim.
Yes, sir.
By these were the eyes of the Gentiles divided in their lands.
But these were what? The islands of the Gentiles. This is where they roam. This is where they live. Their habitation. This is where they come from. This is where they come from. Gentiles. Go ahead.
Everyone after his tongue, after their families, in their nations.
Yes, sir. So we got a group of people that's Gentiles that came from one son of Noah, which is Japheth. So when you read in the book, you understand when you see Gentile, they're talking about the so-called white people, the Europeans. You got to burn a little midnight oil. If you want to go back and see where all these people come from, you research it. I done researched. Can't do it all for you.
Amen, bro.
If you got some thing mixed up in your head that when you don't understand, go back and research this. They got the internet. You got it on your phone. It's easy now. But Israel too sorry and lazy. They want somebody to sit up there and spoon feed them, one by one. Got to burn some midnight oil. You got to do it for yourself to help your salvation.
Come on.
Get in your mind that I understand this. It took me some time. I'm still studying. But let's deal with this. Let's deal with this one called Ham, because a lot of people think that that's us or Egyptian. You got different sectors of these Ham children. Go ahead, verse 6.
And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan.
These are the ones, the sons of Ham. All these are so-called Africans. So-called Africans. And this is what people got to understand. Stop comparing us, well, stop telling us that we are African American, because we're not. We just look like them. I'll read a little history right here. Let's go to the, we're going to go to the Designer Band Dictionary, the Bible Dictionary, which a Gentile wrote. And they're going to tell you who the fathers of, who the Ham father. Go ahead and get it, brother.
Zollivan's Compact Bible Dictionary.
Yes, sir.
Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races.
He became the progenitor of the dark races. And automatically people think, that's it, that's all the people that dark. No, listen what they say right here.
Not the Negroes,
Not who? The Negroes. Go ahead.
but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and the Canaanites.
These are Ham's children. Ham's children, not the Negroes. And most people don't understand it. They think, well, that's why when they went over there in Egypt today, they started shooting the noses off the statue. A lot of the ones started claiming, you got more white people in Egypt today than you had in a long time, because they claim even Egypt's identity. But they had artifacts to show you that Egypt was black, and we will compare it to Egypt. Compare it to them. Let's look at something right here. Let's look at the color of the eagle. Color of the eagle. This is King Tut, right here. King Tut, you found this on the hieroglyphics on this tomb, inside of his tomb. This is King Tut, which is a young king, and his mama. What color are they?
Dark.
They black, dark skin. This is all this stuff they found inside of the tomb. They could dispute this. All these people were dark people. This is the inside of his chamber, on the walls, the hieroglyphics on his wall. So when you try to understand who Israel is, we got to compare ourselves to another nation. And we got confused as to being Egyptians all the time. And I'm going to show you through the scriptures. We're going to pause right there. Let's look at something. Let's look at something. Now he said Ethiopians, Libyans. Oh, I love my book. 2 years. Okay, we'll skip that. Let's go to Exodus chapter 2, verse 11. Let's get Moses. Because we got to compare ourselves to another nation to understand that Israel is a dark-skinned people. And he said Ham is the father of who? The Egyptians, but not the Negroes. Last time I checked, Negroes were black, dark-skinned. So who we talking about? Let's go to Exodus chapter 2 and verse 11. Go ahead when you get it, brother. We're dealing with Moses here.
And it came to pass in those days, when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens. And he spied on an Egyptian smited in Hebrew one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that way, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand.
This is when Moses was in Egypt at the time, and he found out that he was an Israelite. And he was trying to help his people, and he saw an Egyptian beating up on one of his family members, and he went to his rescue. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews strode together. And he said to him that did the wrong, wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? And he said, who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me, as thou killest the Egyptian? And Moses feared and said, surely this thing is known.
See, Moses had to get up on that because Pharaoh understood that he killed one of the Egyptians. They're like, surely this thing known. No, you know if Israel get a rumor, they gonna spread it. Can't keep our mouth shut, so he had to get up on out of that. Go ahead.
Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh, dwelt in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well.
Yes, sir.
Now the priests of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the trough to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock. And when they came to Ruel, their father, he said, how is it that ye are come so soon today?
What verse you at?
Verse 19.
He said, how did you have came so soon today? Now, they went to the water, went to get some water, and and these other men was jumping in front of them and getting water. So their dad said, how y'all came back so early? Now understand, Moses fled in that side of the country. But listen what they call Moses. Go ahead.
And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds.
Okay.
And,
Go ahead.
and also drew water enough for us and watered the flock.
An Egyptian? Or Moses? He's an Israelite. Why do they call him an Egyptian? Because he looked just like him. Just like that. That's how we had to bring it together to make you understand that they compare us to the Egyptian. Dark-skinned people, two nations, two different nations, but we look alike. It almost like the Chinese and Japanese or something like you. I can't really tell the difference between the two. Or like a Mexican and the Hispanic, well, a Mexican and the Spanish person. And boy, you call a Spanish person a Mexican, that's like, boy, they get crazy. But we don't care, no, okay, we African American. We African. And the people that know they're Africans, they understand that y'all telling lies, y'all ain't no African. So this lesson is supposed to teach us who we are through the scriptures. And we have to go in and dig out certain things to make people understand that Moses was compared to King Tut. Yeah, they can't dispute that. That's on the walls of his tomb, everywhere. Yes, sir. Let's keep moving. Let's go also and look at Paul. Okay. You can do that?
Yes, sir.
Let's go to Paul. Let's go to Acts chapter 21. Let's see what he was compared to. Acts chapter 21, verse 27. And people saying, why is this so important for you to know the color of Israel? I was saying, they said, why do you have that white Jesus on the wall? When you turn all the white Jesus black, then we can ask the question, why is this so important? Now we got a problem when you make all white Jesus black. But they ain't got no problem as long as they white. And we're going to touch on Jesus soon. Acts chapter 21, verse 27. Let's look at our brother Paul. Go ahead, 27, excuse me. Acts chapter 21, verse 27. Go ahead.
And when the 7 days were almost ended, the Jews which were of Asia, when they saw him in the temple, stirred up all the people and laid hands on him.
Understand this, like I told you, when they see Paul coming, they were like, hold up, we gotta stop what we're doing to deal with him, because Paul used to kill a lot of people. When they see him step in the temple, they like, hold up, everybody stop preaching. Paul here. Let's deal with him first, because he gonna kill somebody. But Paul, God had led Paul on the road to Damascus, and he made him the apostle of the Gentile. He accepted the faith. But they didn't know that. They just remember Paul killing Stephen and all them people. But go ahead.
28, cried out, men of Israel, help. This is the man that teaches all men everywhere against the people
Yes,
and
sir.
the law and this place, and further brought Greeks also into the temple and has polluted this holy place.
See what they said? He brought Greeks in. Paul brought Greeks in. Why? Because he was the apostle to the Gentiles. The first so-called Greek or white person that brought in was Cornelius by Peter. Then Paul came in and started being an apostle to the Gentiles, told them that they could have salvation too. But Israel had a problem with that, because back then it was just for Israel. But God has opened the door for the Gentiles and every nation to come into